Hi everyone, and welcome to this evening's bfoUP webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us on this especially nice evening. I think we've all been looking forward to something like this. We're really excited this evening to welcome Sarah and Chad Hunt of Corad Farms out of Lanark County and hear them talk about their they've done to keep it innovative and working towards consumers and make sure that it continues to grow. Just before we get started with them, I'll just go over a few things with BFO and what we've been working on lately. If you are interested or maybe have missed out on some young producer webinars that we've hosted in the past, we still have those available online. If you visit our website, you can see those. If you go to ontariobeef.com underneath programs, you can see the bfoUP webinars from past years, and there's plenty to see there. Along with that, there's resources you can find that might be helpful to your farm. So I encourage you to move along there and visit that. And there's lots of good information and hearing from other young producers and producers throughout Ontario that might be able to give you some tips for your own operation. Obviously, right now, there's a lot of issues and things going along with the COVID-19 pandemic that's been going on. So BFO has been working a lot, lobbying our government and with different resources. So to keep you updated, as I'm sure a lot of you have many questions been going on, BFO has put together a COVID-19 update page. So if you visit that, you can find a lot of information that's going on with the impact it's having on our beef industry, initiatives Beef Farmers of Ontario and the Canadian Cattlemen's Association are taking to promote government support and the different lobbying that we're doing with them, along with other commodities throughout the Ontario industry, as well as current resources that are available for our producers. So you'll find different fact sheets on financial assistance and different resources and things to look out for when taking your animals and transportation and different processing plants. So you can find that information on our website and look on the homepage. It's all available there. Just to help you kind of move through this, and hopefully things will continue to look up from here as we move along. If you're ever wondering where to learn more about BFO or any information along those lines, you can check out BFO's website, ontariobeef.com. We do have a weekly e-newsletter, the bulletin board. You can find that as well to sign up for. Members, if you're paying checkoff dollars, you receive our magazine 5 times a year, and you can also reach out to us to sign up for that. And we're also on social media, so you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have a YouTube page. And if you're ever looking to get any questions answered or any information, you can reach out to me, Bethany at ontariobeef.com, or Dan Ferguson, our producer relations, who's Dan at ontariobeef.com. So with that, I would like to move on over to our main event of the evening and hear from Sarah and Chad and learn more about their farm. So with that, I'm going to reach out to them and turn them back on here. Unmute them. There, I can hear you guys.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, and I'm just going to move it over to you guys here. Change presenter. Here we go. All right. There we go. You guys are up.
Great.
And
okay, we're up and running.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. I guess I get to go first. It's not very often Sarah lets me do the talking, so I'll do my best to let people know about our farm, where it started, and where we are now, and where we're hoping to head to, and then Sarah's going to talk about what we're up to currently with the beef sales. So my parents bought our home farm in 1969. My dad still lives there currently, and then my brother Corey and his wife Glenna and my nephew Corlin, they live on the corner of that home farm, which is about a mile from where Sarah and I live. And we've been living here since 2011. We bought this farm, and the original home farm was 125 acres. and we currently farm around 1,000 acres in total. So we've added some land since 1969. And we do grow some cash crops. We grow corn and soybeans. And then of course, the feed for the cattle. And we started breeding Limousin in 1983. We chose Limousin because calving ease. They come tidy and they're up and nursing quick. Typically, we don't have to assist many calvings, which is great because we pretty well all work full time away from the farm, so we're not always here to help. We try to be, but you know, just the way things are, we can't always be. And so we've got numbers wise, we have 160 cows to calve and 20 heifers, and we sell about 6 to 10 bulls annually, just pretty much locally, Eastern Ontario, and it's usually just by word of mouth. We've been selling bulls since like 1984, basically. So we've got a long list of bull customers. A lot of them are repeat customers, so that's good. Some have bought 6 and 7 times. We've sold them bulls over the years, so that certainly helps. Holly's letting us know she's in the other room. That's our little lady. I guess a little background on our family. Sarah and I have 3 little ones. We call them the littles. They're 4, 2, and 1. And then we also have 2 older boys, my stepsons, and they are 17 and 11. So there's 5 kids around here somewhere. And yeah, so every day is busy, and we do have some help for sure. Sometimes it's not great help, but it certainly adds a new dynamic, and it's lots of fun. So
4 boys and a girl, so it's like,
yeah,
we're 7 people in this little house, so it's a lot of together.
yeah, good. So, and Holly wants to get on the air, I think, but anyway. So yeah, we you know, we do sell some bulls. We do right now. We have 7 herd sires. We've got a bull from Darling Farms, 2 from Nathan Allen and Bryce Windy Gables, 1 from BZ Acres, 2 from Railline, and we just bought another bull from David Clark. So we do keep a lot of bulls. Some of the reason for that is our pastures are small. 20 cows is kind of the max for any one pasture or any one group. And so we do need a lot of bulls. We calve our cows in 2 basic groups. We calve in May and June, so we're currently calving right now. Got around 30 calves on the ground, and then we'll calve another group in September and October. Way back when we started doing that, it was to kind of offset income, help with cash flow, and have 2 groups of calves to sell in a year instead of just 1. And so that's where that kind of originated from. And then as our numbers grew, it made more sense to have the 2 groups, and then just to help, we get to use the bulls twice a year, and so that's a good benefit. Our cows are a mix of red and black, kind of 50-50. We have a lot of black cattle. We do like the black cows, and when we market our calves, we wean the calves and keep them until they're long yearlings. We sell them mostly through the Brussels sale. It's always been what we found consistent and fair price-wise. We have done some direct marketing as well. We've sold to Dwight Foster in North Bore. He's an hour from us, so that's a big bonus. And then we've also sold heifers to Jack Chafe through the Brussels sale, and so that's always a bonus as well. And we keep the fall cows and calves at our farm, and the cows run in a cedar bush, and the calves have access to a tarp building where we make a creep for them and feed them hay and a creep ration. Those calves are born in September and October, like I mentioned, and they're weaned mid-May right now, kind of thing. And steers are weaning off close to 700. Heifers around 640. And then we would normally keep them until later this year and then market them. We are holding on to our cattle and going to try to finish more of our own animals. And Sarah's going to talk about that later. That's something that's new for us for sure. A lot of it has to do with volatile markets and sending cattle to a sale, and you're never sure exactly how you're going to do. So being in control is certainly a big positive, and we're excited about that. That's a big perk. So yeah, we wean the calves off now, off these fall cows. They'll go to grass, to pastures, and we calve all those cows out on grass. So again, that's where tidy calves are certainly a bonus, and and less problems calving, because we try and check the pastures once a day, and we put a donkey at each pasture, and we use them for predator control. We've got a lot of coyotes, like a lot of people do, and the donkeys do a good job, and certainly help prevent any losses that way. And then our spring calves are being born now, and then the cows and calves will go to grass. Bulls are turned out around July 1st, or first week of July, basically, and most of our land is all within 5 miles, so it's all close to home, so that's kind of nice. It makes for checking cattle and keeping an eye on things a lot easier. As far as the day-to-day operations, I do most of the feeding of the cattle here. I get help with gates and things like that from Sarah and the kids, and my brother Corey looks after the cattle at we call the home farm where my dad lives, and Glenna and Corlin also do a lot of feeding and equipment operating, and Corey and I both work full-time for the RCMP musical ride, the breeding farm, which is 2 concessions from where we live, so it's very close to home here, and it's quite handy. We look after the brood mares over there, and so a lot to do with the breeding of the mares and foaling, and then we look after the young horses until so handling of the young horses and trailering and training in that department, and then they go into Ottawa to the Ottawa stable, where they're actually trained then for the musical ride portion. So and our day-to-day stuff over there, we work 40 hours a week. It's shifts. We work nights as well as days, and weekends and holidays and all that. So like I said before, we are gone a lot. We're not always available, so we appreciate the Limousine cattle and the Cavanese for that. At the horse farm, we look after hay production and fencing and repairs, painting, equipment maintenance, building maintenance, welding, fabricating of feeders, things like that. So it's a great spot to work, and enjoyable as well. We like farming, and having it that close to home really is a bonus as well. We're there in a couple minutes and also home. And then besides that, Sarah and I have some rental properties. our landlords, so that is another whole entity or enterprise on its own. All these things come together to try and support our family.
It's
Yeah.
usually when we're calving that the sump pump's broken or something, you got to make a run for it, and so
Yeah.
super dynamic there. But
So yeah, there's never a shortage of things to do. Just like any other farm, right? There's lots of stuff on the go. Like I mentioned, we have always backgrounded our calves and kept them basically yearlings or long yearlings. We're retaining as many as we can to put through the abattoir, and that's something that is new, and we just took over in February at the abattoir. Trying to think if I'm missing anything that I wanted to share with people. Yeah, no, I don't. I think maybe I'll let Sarah start talking about the new venture we got into, and go from there.
sounds good. So the last couple of years, we started direct marketing a lot of our own beef, and turning to social media for advertising and things like that. Mervyn and Judy, since they've been farming cattle, have always sold freezer beef as well, mostly by word of mouth, the typical half, whole, quarter, that kind of thing. And I kept hearing this feedback that what a great quality product we have. And of course, we're a little partial, but we also don't buy our own meat, so we don't know the difference of the grocery store quality, for example, versus our own, because we have always consumed our own. So we started then at that point looking into farmers markets options, and so I hit the road. I bought a little cargo trailer and hooked it to the SUV and a couple of freezers and generator, and off I went. And we were really well received. Year one, local exposure, we were at the Almont Farmers Market, as well as the Burnstown Farmers Market, getting the cottage country people coming through on Friday nights. Also to Arnprior, which is very, very close to us. They started a market, and so we started there as well, and we're incredibly well received. So from year one to year two, our sales doubled, and word of mouth continued to travel, and then the text messages and phone calls and Facebook messages had come in, and people are looking or hearing about us. And then we started last year at the Carp Farmers Market, which is huge in this area. And the exposure that has given us as well has been astronomical. It's hit Ottawa markets. People come out on a Saturday for something to do, and then just have the luxury of purchasing local wares, basically. So now, of course, enter COVID-19, and everything else has changed. Everything that we thought we were gearing up towards and was normal has now changed. We already had a market online, an active website. I don't know a whole lot about SEOs and trying to get top Google hits and things like that, but I'm learning, I guess. And but our internet traffic has actually been pretty good. So we have an online store that is provided by Wix, and it's a website. I built it myself. It's drag and drop. It's not coding. It's not really complicated, but it was quite user friendly. So I subscribe to their online store platform, and I can actually direct market our individual products. And you click and you add to cart, and you can check out like you do at any other online platform. And with that comes an app that's on my cell phone that lets me, organize and do an inventory control of what we actually have in our store. So if I have 5 ribeye steaks left, I can update it so people aren't trying to buy 6. People check out, and I can update it from there. And then, so since COVID-19 has hit, I don't know about the rest of you guys out there, but things have gone bananas, absolutely bonkers. It's a great problem to have. It's a good time to be in the beef industry as far as I'm concerned, and be able to do some direct marketing. I have heard through the grapevine that people that are not doing direct marketing, their phones are ringing as well. People are driving by, seeing cows in a field, and they're calling to say, hey, can I buy a side of beef? So it's definitely quite interesting. I guess last year as well, before all of this started, we decided to open our own Farmgate store here at the farm, where Chad and I are. We're a little off the beaten path. Ideally, it would be on the home farm. It's on a main road. So, I guess Mervyn and Corey and Glenna and Corlin are used to people stopping in looking for me. They just send them up around the corner to where I am. But I was originally trying to sell our freezer beef out of our garage, but with 5 kids and bicycles and all that stuff, I was pulling my hair out. So we put in a little Amish built shed. It came in on the back of a truck on skids and dropped it in the driveway. And one of the local contractors came and insulated it and put in a heat source and lights. And so it's hardwired now to our shop. So I have my little she shed with my freezers in it, and I'm able to operate out of there. And people normally, when it's not COVID, can come in and shop as well, and pick their own items. And so as of now, with most of the online orders, I'm just basically getting things ready, doing picks for them, and placing them in a sanitized cooler outside so we can do this contactless shopping. But it's been kind of neat to be able to actually adapt to that, and not have to go through great hoops to accomplish it. We were kind of already there in a big sense. So, but I do find over the last couple of years, just local food, local production, the awareness of where your food come from, it's really gaining momentum. Farmers markets are busting at the seams, and they're looking for great producers. And when you're in there, you have a good product, you're in pretty good shape. But the bottleneck for us was finding consistent places to have our animals processed. And you're at the mercy. You spend 2 years, perhaps the better part of 2 years, trying to perfect your end product to send it off to the abattoir, and you just cross your fingers and think, please don't mess this up. And then if you can even get the bookings. For us, where we are, from one abattoir to the other, you're looking at 2.5 hours, perhaps, from door to door. We're kind of in the middle of a triangle. We've got one pretty much an hour each direction, maybe a little bit more. But then, they're closing, or they're just not taking the bookings anymore. So we ended up being in a really fortunate position to find one that was for sale. And I mean, turnkey, like amazing. I feel like lightning can't strike twice. We were starting to look at the building process, and I had already reached out to OMAFRA and started to get some of the legwork done on how do you break ground on a project like this. It's needed so badly. And how do you do it? Like, you can't just look in the yellow pages and try to find an abattoir builder. Like, it's not there. So, we were tapping resources and getting recommendations. And then this particular abattoir that we bought, it was brought to my attention through a Facebook message, basically. Why build when you can buy? And I thought, well, there are none, right? And I didn't even know about it. It was just outside where we would normally look to have our animals processed. So I didn't even know it was there. I probably would have been a customer years ago had I known. So it's the Farmersville Community Abattoir, and it's in Athens, Ontario, and it is maybe 20 minutes outside of Brockville. So for us to drive there, it's 100 kilometers from door to door. We are an hour and 20 minutes, basically. and that's not ideal. Like, you know, I've got a couple of long days there. So when I'm not leaving till 7 o'clock at night, then I'm not home till 8:30 or 5:30 departure 7, you know, and so that added on to each end of the day is definitely not ideal, especially considering we've got so many other irons in the fire and, you know, all these little people that depend on us, and it's definitely a lot. But we couldn't do our freezer beef stuff without the abattoir either. And I think that the tipping point for me, you know, to look at other options was just this past fall when we had our animals booked. They were, you know, pre-booked months ahead, and I got a call and said, sorry, we've got to cancel. We're not going to be doing slaughter anymore. And I thought, now what? You know, so that was incredibly frustrating. You can't sell what you can't produce. So anyways, we ended up, we purchased the abattoir in November, you know, signed offer kind of a thing, and it took us till the middle of February to get our license and all of the government requirements basically signed off with the ministry and OMAFRA. Well worth it, but there's a lot of signatures required, and I get it. Now, this particular facility it's one of the newer ones in Ontario, which is nice. It's the cooler itself holds 200 sides of beef if it was full, so it's pretty big. Now I'm getting a crash course on refrigeration. You know, there's well, we've purchased 2 new compressors since we've owned it since February, so I'm
2 out of 6.
Yeah, 2 out of 6. So, and I feel like tapping wood because it's very expensive to keep things cold in there, but you don't have a business without it. So I also have a very newfound appreciation for exactly how hard it is to process animals. And you know, when people say like, oh, I just want a beef done for some ground beef, like it's hard work. You know, and those are staff members, like it's hard going, it's heavy lifting, it's not easy work. So definitely seeing the inside process of what happens is definitely good. We end up we've got we process 12 to 15 beef on average per week. We have 5 full-time staff though, and 1 part-timer, so we can only process what we can cut and wrap. And this is something that I've only recently started to wrap my head around because you're pushing just a little bit. You know, let's get the demand is there, let's get the numbers through, but then we had trouble getting the cut and wrap happening because there's so many other cleaning processes, and you know, to clean the place is wild what has to happen in the sterilization, and it's a really big deal. So yeah, we end up processing 12 to 15 beef on average a week, 10 to 12 pigs, sometimes 15. It just sort of depends on who's looking for what. 5 to 8 lambs, perhaps somewhere in there. And it's definitely, it's a lot of go, and my hat is off to them because it is hard work. You are in the cold, you're working in freezers. The walk-in freezer, I'm gonna have to try to toughen up a little bit more because I am full on body shivers. I'm just not ready for that. The other neat thing about this particular location is it has storefront potential. So I guess back in the day when it was originally built, it had a store that was operating, and they sold sausages and beef and pork and all kinds of stuff out of there. So it's in our plans, ideally within the year, to get, well, actually within the next 6 months really for the storefront, or less if possible, is to get it up and running so that we can sell our beef out of there. We've also just partnered with another local family, the Hudson family at Panmure Farms, and we are going to direct market their pork through our abattoir as well. So enter another new side of things, and where the demand is, you just follow it. So that's kind of exciting, and it's, you know, local family with another local family and complementary products potentially. Um, the other thing is at the abattoir is they used to have a smokehouse there, and there was a fire some years ago and they lost it. So I guess I would say more in the next year or so, I would like to break ground, rebuild this facility, add another cut room, get the walk-in freezer going again, be able to provide sausages and basically like the full service pork end of things, I guess, for smoking. Also to beef sausages. We sell a beef sausage that McGarrick and Nicksburg is able to do. And if I could ever get my hands on their recipe, I'll be very happy, but I don't think I'll get it. But our beef sausages are fabulous. So, you know, we'd like to be able to do that as well and not have to source out. And the other important thing with now having our own processing facility is that we get to trace our animals literally from birth right through to consumption. And I think there's a lot of value to that. And I think there's a lot of end user and customer appreciation to know exactly where their food is coming from. And there is no middleman. We have eliminated the middleman, and the animal welfare piece, for example, is very, very important to me. And I know that every animal that comes into our facility is very well taken care of and handled very humanely, and that is incredibly important. And I guess yeah, I guess I don't know, that's probably all I can think about for that part. But I guess one of the other aspects of that, being a new abattoir owner, is I had no idea how much something like that actually costs to operate. I'm seeing new numbers like I have never seen before. I thought the farm hydro bill was big. This is like in another category. So just trying to get used to like cleaning product costs and you know, the cost of labor is wild. And I mean, but yet it's an industry that is so incredibly underpaid. We're looking for another meat cutter and trying to find qualified staff, like, and even the training facilities to train somebody like that to cut meat. It's not something that you can just sort of pick up. It has to be almost apprenticeships. So we are fortunate to have the lead butcher that we have right now is actually the original owner and the builder of the facility. So we are holding on to him for dear life. He not only knows the industry inside out and backwards, because he has been doing it for 50 years, literally, but he also knows the inside outs of exactly how our plant is operating, and you know, just even all the dials for the coolers and things like that. He knows that it's his baby. Bless his heart. His name's Bernie. He's there 7 days a week. He's scrubbing something at all times, and yeah, so he is going to be really difficult to replace whenever he decides to finally retire. So we're holding on as hard as we can to him and taking in as much as information that, you know, he can give us. And so we feel pretty fortunate that we've been given the position that we're in. I think we've got a good farm operation going. We've got lots of family that are nobody's afraid of hard work, thankfully, and you know, being able to process our own animals for direct consumption and being able to control what they're worth, essentially, not being at the mercy of the markets. And you know, maybe there's not a buyer there that day, and you know, your animals that you work so hard for to raise for a year plus, maybe they didn't meet what you needed them to meet. So at least this way, even though you know, they're going for consumption sooner perhaps than maybe they would have if they had gone on to another finishing facility, we're able to control what they're worth as an end product as well. So yeah, anyway, so that's kind of what we're up to right now, and trying to roll with it as the need changes as well. Yeah.
for sure. Every day there's something else to take care of and address,
Yeah.
and that's part of what keeps our lives interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, anyways, so I can flip it back over to Bethany, maybe. I don't know if there's questions or anything that's come up, but.
Yep. So I've got a few questions so far. So one that has come in already. Well, first of all, thank you. That was very well. lots of information, and I'm sure everybody really appreciated that. There was lots about the farm and then the abattoir as well, because I'm sure there's also information there that a lot of our farmers like don't really think about when they're dropping their animals off at the abattoir. So it gives some insight into kind of what they can take away from that and what they can think about. And that kind of leads me into the question that I've got here from someone. So how long do you think that you will get, how long do you think that it will take to get profit margin return on the abattoir? And would you recommend other direct sale producers to look into ownership of abattoirs?
I think personally, in order to have an actual profit margin at the abattoir, we would have to charge more than the average going rate. Most people, I think, that are sending their own animals, it could be a well-seasoned farmer that's been doing it forever and is very unhappy with the cost of living increase, basically. If we were to try to turn profit and operate the abattoir on our own, we would have to charge a lot more than we do. Yeah. And that would not be industry standard. So I think the only thing that we've maybe got going for us at this point, and we're new at it, is putting all of the beef sale profit back into the abattoir might get us ahead a little faster, so we can reinvest into the infrastructure and be able to do upgrades, that kind of thing. But I think if someone has interest in owning an abattoir, you are guaranteed to have a job, basically. They're closing, the demand is increasing, there's so much frustration. We're booking now into December. Like, we were 5 weeks ahead, and December 2nd, I've got about 5 beef spots left. And like, I feel like the toilet paper hoarding has turned to meat. Everybody's kind of freaking out a little bit about their own freezer space, and whether it's COVID related or maybe it would have happened anyway, I don't know. But if you can direct market your own product and you can control where it's going and how often it's getting processed, I think you are a world ahead of a lot of people.
And just to go with that, you were talking about before that you had kind of been looking into potentially opening your own abattoir before you had this opportunity to go with the one to buy. So where in Omafra and where were you finding the resources to find that information to potentially do that for people that might be interested in doing so?
Right. It's based on jurisdiction. So if you are looking to either purchase one or build one in your area, there are area supervisors, and they're listed on the Omafra website, essentially. And even calling Guelph, calling the 800 number to talk to the first person that answers, they've been very, very good from a resource standpoint to lead you to exactly who you need to speak with, and provide all the resources to get you there. I got a little swirly-eyed after a while, right? Because it's pages and pages of government wording. You just think, can we just jump to the good part? But yeah, it's I think the Omafra website would be the very first spot to go to in terms of who to contact for your particular zone or your area, and go from there.
Phil.
Yeah, well, the area supervisor that helped us, he ended up getting another job. So shortly after we purchased, and it was done, thank goodness it was done, because I don't know if we would have been able to start over with somebody new, but he was able to follow us all the way through to the end of our purchase. But he had to learn too, because it's not very often that abattoirs change hands. You know, it's not a real big marketable business, and it's unfortunate because it's so needed, but I guess it's not really attractive industry to get into either, and that's the raw reality of it. You know, and again, I grew up with horses, and you know, I was doing the teenager riding on the weekends, and then you know, here I'm married beef farmer, and now we're slaughtering animals, and I'm thinking, you know, but I have not ever been exposed to anything like that before. And even though it's humane and it's well controlled and it's all of these things that it's supposed to be, I've had to toughen up a lot. And you know, they made fun of me because I just wouldn't even go down there, you know, at first. But now I've got my rubber boots dirty, and you know, I've been part of it. I've been initiated, I guess you could say. But it's really, really tough, that end of things, for sure. But it's part of it. You know, your animals don't come out in these little packages. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of work that goes on when it goes through those doors, those barn doors. Yeah.
So another question for one of our watchers here is, it's a two-part question. On average, how many hours do you spend down at the plant? And also, what products do they produce to value add to lower value cuts?
To lower value cuts. Okay, so I'm fortunate that I only have to actually be there 2 days a week. So because it's fully staffed and you know, operating without me, I can kind of, I'm not required there 5 days because that would actually kill me. I'm pretty sure it's too big of a commute. But I do an awful lot of work from home, and you know, between trying to get applesauce for the kids and you know, hiding around the corner to try to find a quiet minute to make a phone call, and you know, so there's a lot more non-office or non-conventional office hours that go into it. And I joke because I feel like, well, we actually said we bought an abattoir to sell our beef, but I'm operating both really. So we're literally trying to run 2 companies and a big family and part of a farm. But
you're probably 20 to 25 hours a week. She works from home, scheduling and booking and phone calls and planning and talking to Brian at the plant on a daily basis, just to stay up on changes or what's going on. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, Sarah's at the plant, which turns into probably, you know, at a minimum of a 12-hour day. So
yeah, 12 to 14 sometimes.
Yeah, so she's putting in lots of hours. And then I try to be there on Wednesdays for the kill day.
That's our slaughter day.
That's when we do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's all hands on deck then. Yeah. Like that is a big day. And even after the last animal's gone into the cooler, like the cleanup part of things, it's just, and the disinfecting and the pressure washing, it's like pressure washing the inside of a garage, right? And making everything perfect again. There's a lot to it, but hour for hour, I definitely did not anticipate what we have now, like in terms of what's required of me. And then I guess since the beef sales have been boosting as well, there's more hours there, which is great. I mean, that was the whole point. But the second part of that question, in terms of optimizing the lesser cuts, the butchers are fabulous at making the most yield as they can. You know, it all boils down to the choice. Like we do custom orders for other people, not just our own stuff, you know. But anything that's not, I guess, a premium cut would be
potentially tough or something.
Yeah, they would put it into ground or you know, a round steak or a blade steak or something like that from a beef standpoint. I'm starting to learn a little bit more about the pork and the lamb lingo. I've not been exposed to that, so I feel like a bit of a fish out of water. But when I don't know, I just ask the experts because they're the ones doing the cutting, right? So,
We're
and
also doing pet treats as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe Sarah can talk about
yeah,
that.
no, that's true too. So, organ meat, I'm not a fan. I've not consumed that as a child. I've never had to sit and like stare at my liver and onions until it was either cold or gone. But we get this product back, and rather than waste it or wait on a slim market, I bought a bunch of dehydrators. So now I dehydrate the liver and the heart and kidney and actually top round steak because I don't like it. And I sell it as, I market it as pet treats, as dog treats. And I cannot keep them in stock. Like, and of course, dehydrating liver is not a nice smell. My poor family, my kitchen, it just wafts of liver sometimes, right? But we're not eating it, but the dogs certainly stick their nose up and they go by. But that's been a really easy profit for us too, to move a product that we wouldn't normally either consume or sell much of. The odd person will look for a beef heart or a tongue or something like that, but it's not something that's a huge market. Soup bones, we sell them for cheap as well, and so people walk out with the armloads of them. So that's keeping our freezers moving as well.
And then there's also raw meat for dog food.
Yeah.
That's a big
Out of the abattoir.
potential market. And moving forward, we're definitely going to push to capitalize on that. That's people spend more on their pets than
Yeah.
It's certainly a good opportunity, and we will be working towards that too.
Yeah. Yeah, the raw diet dog food has really taken off in the last few years, and what a great way to move trim, right? So you just grind it twice, package it up, and out it goes.
Just a little separate from an abattoir question here. Obviously, you guys are taking on a lot. Chad still works full time. You guys have a big family. How do you guys manage to find kind of a work-life balance? And do you guys ever think that there's a point that Chad might be able to, or does he even want to, not have a full-time job anymore? Because I know that's a lot with a lot of younger farmers. They want to just be able to come and work on the farm eventually, but I mean, with a lot, they do need that full-time job. So your perspective on that?
Well, having the full-time paycheck is
Consistent.
yeah, I've always worked full-time somewhere off the farm since I was 18 basically, so I'm used to the leaving during the in the morning and working late at night and weekends. It would be nice to certainly have more downtime, but that I enjoy the farming, so that's my downtime too. Yeah, as far as being able to not work full time, definitely not in the near future. It's everything's country, so, and needed, I guess that's the other thing. So yeah, I can't see it happening in the short term, that's for sure. So
I've got a full-time job as well, actually, away from all of this, but I've just been on rolling maternity leaves the last couple of years, so I actually haven't had to step foot at my other real job in a little while, and I think that's given me the opportunity to explore other avenues as well. And I mean, I'm pretty sure the cost of daycare full-time would flatten us at this point with this many little people. But I've been almost 18 years with the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. I started there back in 2003, and I worked in human resources, and now I'm in IT as a technology trainer. And the idea of having to farm the kids out 5 days a week and try to hustle into the city and back and try to get dinner on the table, I just can't. I can't even picture that right now. So I'm on a leave, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to end up resigning from it. It's not it's been great. There's, you know, it's served us well. It was a guaranteed income, but I'm ready to move on with something that my heart is in, and with Chad being able to, I guess, pull up loose ends for sure if, you know, if our income bracket is not jiving from the DIY end of things. You know, we're not sitting on the street corner with a Tim Hortons cup, hopefully. But you know, so far so good. You know, I think we're moving in the right direction, and having the abattoir, being able to complement the beef sales and vice versa. I think we're moving in a good direction, and it would be a safe time for me to step away from my security blanket for the last almost 2 decades. But I'm ready. I don't want to have to wait another 15 years to be old enough to retire with a full pension. And I'm probably going to regret that when it's time, but I don't want to wait to do what I really want to do. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Have a question here from Dan Ferguson.
Hi,
What
Dan.
can BFO do to help increase local abattoir capacity for more local marketing? What do you guys think?
Besides trying to promote other facilities either opening or building or growing, maybe, like, we would love to grow. We have the ability to grow, but I don't know where the cart and the horse fit into the big picture.
If we tried to increase the numbers as far as on processing day or kill day, and then the bottleneck was the cutting. We had to work an extra day a week. The staff did trying to catch up, and then so that was a push. We added another cutter to the mix, and a couple days a week, or at least a day a week, helping, and that's helping. But our cut room isn't big enough to accommodate more staff, so it's every little piece of the puzzle in these abattoirs has to fit together. You know, you kill too many animals.
Yeah.
You gotta hold them in the coolers. You gotta cut them and process them, and then you gotta be able to handle the finished wrapped product, and that your cooler has to be big enough to do that as well. So
the walk-in freezer and
yeah, if we want to make one thing, if we want to increase one aspect of it, we have to increase everything, and that's huge financial outlay. You know, it's certainly the potential is there, and you know, that's what we want to do. That's what we're hoping to do, but it all has to happen at the same time. So.
And I mean, I don't know if BFO specifically would be in a position to help collect resources and network, even as far as provincial or federally inspected abattoirs are concerned. But it's in everybody's best interest to kind of pool together and try to figure out how we can move more of our own product through and get them directly on people's plates, if possible. But there's, like Chad was saying, there's a lot of pieces to it, and sometimes, depending on the facility, you're at the vulnerability of the infrastructure that you have to work with. You know, if we could break ground and start over, and actually be able to afford to build a new one, which maybe someday can actually happen, it would be much bigger than we have. But then you're at the mercy of the qualified staff.
Staffing.
That's the hardest part, because not only is it not attractive work, you'd never be able to pay them what they're worth, and that's what it boils down to. You know, it's and people just aren't getting into that business anymore. I hope that changes, but even the colleges to learn that skill, you really got to dig to find them. So I think maybe just a promotion in general, like that farm to fork concept. If BFO was in a position to, you know, have a category for that, or a resource pot, basically, that would help people like us, anyways, finding other resources on how to grow.
Yeah, and that was kind of leading a little bit into my next question too, is you said it kind of going to the farmers markets and those sorts of things are what's kind of got you the foot in the door. Was there any other sort of marketing that you did to really get those people to find your product and see, or was it just going to the farmers markets that really?
I would say that was probably the biggest one, was the personal exposure. There's still, as nice as the online platform is, there's people still want to meet you. They want to know, they want to ask questions, they want to know what you feed, they like for their own personal interest where that comes from. So I think most of it came from that, and then the referrals, the word of mouth after that. Hey, I met this farmer, you know, and this is what she told me. Oh, you know, and it becomes dinner conversation or whatnot. So I think the networking happens there. Other than that, I just did a little bit of social media stuff, created a Facebook page, and, you know, you share it. I ran a promotion at Christmas, you know, win a prime rib, and it was one of those like, click, like, share, that kind of thing. So it ended up popping up on more people's news feeds than I could have done otherwise, I think. And I did buy a couple of times, you know, $10 for a promotion, and Facebook algorithms would decide how that was pushed out. Again, not my forte, but I thought, hey, well, try it. But it did reach a lot of local screens, according to the feedback I got from Facebook. So, you know, you can advertise for next to nothing if you know how to do it, or you know somebody that can help you with it, just through social media platforms.
Yeah, that's awesome. Perfect. Well, I think we're coming right up to 8 o'clock, and it's still kind of nice out, so I'll let you guys finish up the rest of the day, and everybody else has joined. But I think this was an awesome webinar, and I'm really glad that you guys could join us and give us some of your experience and feedback on what you guys have been doing on your farm, and how you've made it grow. And the information about the abattoir, I think, was really important for people to hear, and how you've made it work and are continuing to make it work. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time out, and we've had some great questions here. So thanks again for coming and being a part of this, and enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you for inviting us. It was fun.
Yep, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.